You may not know it, but you've already learned the principles behind Google bombing. In this lesson, I'm going to quickly explain what that term means, how you can Google bomb your own site, and why you want to do so. In fact, in the last lesson, I discussed how click here links have caused Google to come to the conclusion that 2 Adobe pages should rank highly for the term click here. In effect, these pages have been Google bombed. Google bombing refers to creating links to point to a particular site with certain keywords in the links so that the site will rank at the top of the search results for those keywords. In particular, at the top of Google, though the mechanism works for other search engines too. In fact, some people call the mechanism link bombing. Actually, Google bombing is a bit more than that. It's often used to attack people you don't like, political opponents, for instance. The term dates to the early 2000s, though the technique is older still, dating to 1999. Of course, the technique couldn't work until the search engines started looking at link text to determine a page's subject matter, and Google didn't launch until 1998. The best-known example of Google bombing was the miserable failure bombing of George Bush's CV on the whitehouse.gov website in 2004. A few dozen bloggers placed this link into blog posts using the anchor text miserable failure. Consequently, when anyone searched for the term miserable failure, a link to the president's bio would appear at the top of Google, Yahoo, and Bing. To counter the bomb, supporters of George Bush started Google bombing other people in order to push them up in the search results, and thus Bush down. So for a while, pages for people such as Michael Moore and Hillary Clinton were bombed and rose in the ranks. Here's another example of a Google bomb, this time in which the site owner bombed his own site. In 2007, Stephen Colbert, the host of the Colbert Report TV show, had his fans bomb his website using the term Greatest Living American. Now, Google bombs don't always work anymore. Search for miserable failure and you'll find pages discussing the event rather than the Google bombed pages themselves. Google now tries to detect and diffuse Google bombs. They're not saying exactly how, but they do say that it's not part of the regular algorithm that's running all the time. Rather, it's something they do a few times a year. So here's the important takeaway. You can, in effect, Google bomb your own site, just like Stephen Colbert did. The Google bomb shows the power of anchor text pointing to a site. It shows that in some cases, pages can rank at the top of the results, even when the keywords don't appear in the page, thanks to the power of anchor text. Now, you're probably thinking, but it only worked for Stephen Colbert for a short while, and once Google detects it, it'll stop working. Well, I'm not suggesting you literally Google bomb anything. Remember, true Google bombs have a number of characteristics that are going to be different from your situation. I could think of at least 3 differences, and I'm sure Google's engineers have spent more time and figured out some more. And in fact, the default is for Google bombs to work unless their special detection algorithm, every couple of months, determines that something else is going on. What else? Well, firstly, with true Google bombs, the links point to pages that don't have the keywords or are badly optimized for the keywords. Even in Stephen Colbert's situation, his homepage was ranking for the term Greatest Living American, but the homepage didn't use that term. Next, the links are generally created very quickly. Someone announces the bombing campaign, and friends and fans jump in and create the links. In a more natural link building scenario, something I'll talk about in a later lesson, links are built more slowly, rarely all of a sudden. Although the search engines are aware that rapid link growth is natural in some situations, such as news events. And another big difference is that there's talk online about the Google bomb, which simply doesn't happen in normal linking scenarios. The campaign itself becomes a topic of conversation. I'm pretty sure Google uses the first 2 characteristics, maybe the third, and probably some others I haven't thought about. Regardless, the basic concept behind Google bombs, that keyworded links push sites up in the search results, is an indisputable fact. It works, and you can use this concept for your site. In this lesson, I want to quickly run through a few more things to think about when building links to your website, from the idea of getting links from relevant sites to where links should be placed within a page. By the way, I realize we haven't yet covered the subject of how you're going to get these links, but don't worry, we'll be getting to that subject soon. We're still looking at background issues. Linking is so important to SEO, the single most critical concept, that a full understanding of links is important. During a decade of working with small businesses, helping them generate more traffic to their sites through the search engines, over and over again, I saw nicely optimized websites losing out to competing sites that were a mess from an on-page optimization standpoint. And it was always because the competitor had done such a great job in linking. So, don't worry, we'll get to the subject of where you'll find links soon, once I've finished explaining what kind of links you need. So let's start with that idea of relevance. It's something you hear a lot about in the SEO business, and as usual in this business, there's some truth and a lot of hype. The basic concept is links from relevant sites, sites somehow related to the subject matter of your site, are more useful than links from non-relevant sites. If you sell rabbit hutches, then a link from a directory of rabbit or pet sites is more valuable than a link from a real estate blog. If you have a cricket website, you're better off getting links from other cricket websites than from baseball sites. This is probably true. If a bunch of cricket websites link to your site, then that's a big clue to the search engines that your site is not only about cricket, but is important and popular. However, here's where the usual SEO nonsense enters the picture. It's common to hear that only relevant links count, and there are a few problems with that. The first problem is, what does relevant mean? How does a search engine determine relevance? Take a look at this blog, for instance. This guy has a variety of interests, evidently aviation, space travel, technology, and so on. But now and then, he writes a little about cricket. Most of what's on this page is not about cricket. Clearly, this isn't a cricket site. But does that mean somehow this link to the ESPN cricket website is not relevant in some way? Of course it's relevant. So that's the first problem with the relevant-only argument. How do you measure relevance? At which point you start ignoring links because they're not relevant by some measure. The other problem with the argument is that it totally ignores the power of PageRank, TrustRank, and keywords within the link anchor text. Would Google really ignore a link from a high PageRank and highly trusted site just because the link might not, by some measure, be relevant, whatever that means? No, of course not. So, my theory about relevance is this, that the search engines try to determine relevance and reward for a link from a truly relevant site. Links from other sites that are clearly cricket sites would help to pass some relevance. But that doesn't mean links from sites that are not so clearly relevant are valueless. They still carry value in various ways. So don't buy the nonsense that only relevant links are going to help you. How about multiple links from the same site? What if you have 100 links from one domain? Well, I always say that 100 links from one domain is not as valuable as one link from 100 domains, and I think that just makes sense. I've seen research stating this, but I've long believed this just based on pure logic. Why should 100 or 1,000 links from a domain carry as much value as a single link from 100 or 1,000 websites? It just doesn't make sense. Having said that, though, in the early days of SEO, putting a whole bunch of links on a single site really did have a significant effect. But it doesn't make sense that large numbers of links from the same domain should carry a lot of weight. So eventually, the search engines just had to fix that problem, and they did. These days, in fact, link analysis tools, which we'll look at in a later lesson, don't just report to you how many links point to your site, they also tell you how many different websites, domains link to you, and in fact how many different IP numbers link to you. A single IP number can carry multiple websites, and it's likely that sites hosted on the same IP number are in some way associated, and thus multiple links from the same IP number probably carry less value than links from different IP numbers. I'm not saying you should limit the number of links on each site. Go ahead and get as many as you can. All I'm saying is that the law of diminishing returns applies. Each additional link has less value than the last. In fact, Majestic, as we can see here, even shows us how many different subnets link to the site. What they mean by this is how many different C block IP numbers are linking back, because sites with IP numbers very close to each other may also be somehow associated, as IP numbers are assigned to companies in blocks of contiguous numbers. IP numbers contain 4 numbers separated by dots, like this. Each of the 4 is a block, starting with A on the left and ending with D on the right. The C block is the 3rd block from the left. So in this case, Majestic is telling us how many different IP numbers that vary down to the C block have websites that are linking to this site, regardless of the last number, the D block. Although we talk about the C block varying, it's the combination of numbers that include the A, B, and C blocks that counts. In other words, the number that appears in the C block space might be exactly the same, but if the A or D block has a different number, then Majestic regards it as being a different subnet. These are 2 different subnets, for instance. This is a well-known and accepted concept in SEO, and in fact there are web hosting companies that specialize in selling hosting services on multiple C blocks to people who are playing SEO games, who want to set up multiple sites and have them on different non-contiguous subnets. Next, links to your site with links on the same page to bad low-value sites are likely to have low value themselves. Again, this makes sense if you think about it. Links, as you've learned, are votes. So if a website owner is voting for a lot of garbage sites, the search engines are likely to think that all votes, all links on that page, should probably be viewed with caution. At best, the links could be devalued, at worst ignored. So the ideal is to avoid these kinds of pages and only have links from pages that link to high-quality sites. Finally, where on the page should links be placed? Well, here are 3 basic rules. Firstly, the higher up on the page, the more value the link is likely to have, following the SEO concept of prominence. It's hard to tell how much difference this makes, but in general, high on the page is better than lower. Also, again following the concept of prominence, it's likely that keywords early in the anchor text are going to be more valuable than keywords later in the anchor text. And again, it's hard to know how much difference it makes, but in general, the first few words in the link are likely to be more highly weighted than the words later in the link. Also, and this is very important, links in content are more valuable than links in navigation or in sidebars. This also makes sense, especially if you know that companies selling links in their sites often put them outside the navigation. In particular, they did this in the early days. These days, of course, you'll find plenty of companies selling links that are specifically placed inside content. Anyway, whenever out getting links, if you have the option between inside content or outside, such as in the footer or blog roll sidebars, you always pick the content. Of course, you won't always have the choice, but if you do. Finally, hidden links. It used to be popular to hide links that have been placed for a purely SEO purpose, and I still see this happening now and then. I recently ran across this in a lawsuit in which I was acting as an expert witness. Obvious tricks used to hide links, such as creating links in white text on a white background, or creating hidden layers, are a really bad idea and could get the linking site penalized by the search engines. And of course, if the search engines do detect this kind of link hiding, they're going to devalue the link down to 0, so such links won't help your site. But what about links in no-script tags? These tags are designed to enclose text that only appears to the browser user if the browser either can't work with scripts, such as JavaScript, or has had scripts turned off. So there can be good reason to put links between no-script tags sometimes, and doing so is unlikely to get the site holding the page penalized. But it's also unlikely that such links have any value. If they do have any value, it's probably very low, and in fact it's most likely that they do not pass any value to the reference page. Finally, it's a good thing to have links pointing to various pages within your website, not just to the home page. It looks more natural to search engines and suggests that your site really does have content that's worth linking to. So this has been a quick summary of a few things, good and bad, related to links you'll be building. But again, don't think that if you don't get perfect links, your link campaign is a disaster. Certainly some links carry no value at all, such as hidden links. But more often, links carry a range of values. You want perfect links, of course, but even not so perfect links can help you overall. As the search engines, in particular Google, get better and better at examining links and figuring out what is good and what isn't, the concept of a natural link profile becomes more important. It's likely that Google doesn't merely look at individual links, but examines the links as a whole, as a collection. If it feels that the links are just too good, that could be bad for you. If the search engines look at the totality of your links and think that everything looks just too perfect, looks like the links are obtained through the use of a coordinated campaign focusing on links, then they might decide to downgrade the value of those links. They're now interested in the overall profile and whether it looks natural or not. So we need to think about what is natural and what isn't. One obvious thing is that generally you don't get huge numbers of links very quickly. That's an indicator that the links may have been purchased through some kind of link company, a subject we'll be revisiting later in the lesson on buying links. If, for instance, you buy 1,000 links from a company that owns a couple of hundred websites, sites built for the purpose of selling links, and if those links are placed very quickly, it might get Google's attention. That's why many companies these days that are selling links promise to place them slowly over time, rather than all at once. Another thing that looks unnatural is to have the exact same keywords in every link. If you have 500 links and 450 of them use the anchor text "buy rabbit hutches," that's clearly a coordinated link purchasing campaign. So it's always a good idea to mix things up a little, to use various different combinations of keywords. In fact, do all your links have keywords? There are no image links, no click here links, no links with words that are not intrinsically associated with your area of business. That doesn't look natural. Do all or most of your links come from the same kind of website? Are they mostly blogs, mostly directories? That's also not very natural and could reduce their value. How about the quality of the sites they come from? Are virtually all your links from low page rank, low trust rank sites with very little, if anything, from higher quality sites? Not only will your site suffer because it's not going to get much page rank or trust rank itself, but this kind of profile might also be taking into consideration labeling your site as one that's clearly been using low value, perhaps manipulative link strategies. What about if almost all your links are follow links as opposed to no follow links? That would make it look like you are actively seeking out follow links. Again, the sign of a coordinated linking campaign and probably link purchases. Any normal link growth these days naturally includes significant numbers of no-follow links. It's just unavoidable. Natural link profiles are mixed up. It takes time to build the links. They come from a variety of different kinds of sources. They use various different keywords. After all, 1,000 website owners wouldn't all think of linking to you with the exact same keywords. They come from a range of different quality levels. They have a bunch of no-follow links and so on. A natural link profile is a jumble of different kinds of links. A link profile that looks like it was made in some kind of 2005 SEO heaven with nothing but perfect links simply isn't natural. It's a huge indicator of purchased links, in fact. I don't really think you have to worry much about creating a natural link profile, unless you're paying some Indian firm to place hundreds or thousands of perfect links on their collection of faked blogs. The real problem for most site owners is generally getting decent links. The bad links will come naturally. And if you're using a variety of different link techniques, which you'll learn about in subsequent lessons, your link profile is going to be natural anyway. I do some legal work as an expert witness in lawsuits related to internet technology and internet marketing, and recently ran across a question in a deposition that related to SEO linking. "Isn't it true, Miss Jones," the lawyer asked, "that quality is far more important than quantity when measuring the effectiveness of an SEO linking campaign?" My first problem is that I don't even know what this question means. I have trouble understanding it. My head almost exploded as I tried to think through the logic behind this question. Imagine a lawsuit related to the value of a coin collection. Isn't it true, Ms. Jones, that the value of the individual coins is far more important than the number of coins? It's just a nonsensical statement from a logical perspective, and yet the quality over quantity claim does seem to be a common statement in the SEO world.
The fact is, you're going to get a range of links, some good, some not so good, but different links help in different ways. It's absolutely not true that only high page rank links help you, that only relevant links help you. Even low page rank and supposedly non-relevant links can provide benefits. As a great poet once said, you can't always get what you want, but if you try sometime, you find you get what you need.
So let's quickly summarize the ideal link, what you'd really like to get and almost never will. It's a goal, not a constant necessity.
In SEO heaven, all links come from pages with a high page rank of 10, or a Moz rank of 10, a majestic citation flow of 100. Well, the chance of getting a perfect 10 is slim to none. There are very few websites in the world with such a score. Even Google rates itself the world's most popular site with a page rank of 9, and Majestic gives it 99 out of 100. Still, the higher the page rank or equivalent, the better. Of course, you also want pages with a high trust rank or high Majestic trust flow. We don't know the original seed sites used to figure out trust rank, but sites such as university websites and major newspapers are likely to be good. Again, these are tough to get, but that's the ideal. The link needs to be a follow link, not a no-follow link, of course. As you'll recall from an earlier lesson, no-follow links are generally ignored by the search engines. Even if they do actually follow the link, going to the reference page, they generally won't use the link for ranking purposes. You ideally want text links too. With image links, you can put keywords into the image's alt and title attributes, but it's generally believed in the SEO world that these keywords won't have as big an impact as keywords in a text link's anchor text. And you want the keywords to appear near the beginning of the anchor text, not the end. You want the links to come from relevant sites, ideally. They often won't, and that's okay, but our perfect link will. The perfect link will also come from a news site, one that you don't already have a link on, because adding a link to a site already linking to you, as you saw earlier, isn't going to provide as much value as a link from a site you've never had a link on. In fact, you really want the link to come from not just another site, but another site that isn't on the same C-block IP number as other pages linking to you. You want the links placed high up in the page, inside the content, not in navigation or sidebars. And you need the links to be visible, not hidden, including tucked away in no scripts tags. And you need links that point to pages within your site, not only to the home page.
If you ever get one of these perfect links, let me know. I'd love to see it. I'm sure they do exist, but there can't be many of them. In the real world, you're going to end up with a mishmash of links, text links and image links, follow and no follow, some high on the page, some low, some in lists of links, some in the content. And that's okay. Many thousands of sites have done very well in the search results with just such a profile. And in fact, as you heard in the previous lesson, having too many near-perfect links can cause problems in itself.
So how do you use all this information to your advantage? You often won't have much control over how links are created, but when you do have some influence, just keep these things in mind. If a friend or colleague agrees to place a link, give him the text you want with the good keywords you need. Ask for a placement in content high on the page. Make sure it's going to be a follow link, and so on. In cases in which you have choices, use this information to make those choices.
Finally, I'd like to answer one common question I get from clients. How many links do I need? Well, you need as many as it takes to get the job done. Your mileage will vary. Some pages can be ranked with very few links. Some will need thousands. It all depends on how competitive your keywords are. One way to get a feel, though, is to do a link analysis on a few competitors and see what their link profiles look like, both how many links and what level of quality. We'll be looking at link analyses in a later lesson. You've learned what links can do for you and why. You've learned how to create the perfect link. And now, finally, we've reached the point at which I need to answer the question, where am I going to get these links? This is often the biggest question I get from clients. Everything else in SEO seems easy in many ways. So in this section, I'm going to start from the beginning. I'll explain how to get started, how to find the easy links. That includes figuring out who is linking to your competition, because if a page links to a competitor, maybe it's a suitable place for you to get a link too. So I'm going to teach you about the link analysis tools and actually show you how to do a link analysis to figure out who is linking to your site or your competitors. In addition, you'll learn my theory on social networking links, and we'll cover a few things that really don't work so well in linking these days, so you don't get pulled off course into non-productive activities. There's usually some low-hanging fruit you can get when first launching a website, places you can very quickly place links. In this lesson, we'll look at some of the first places you should think of when you begin building links to your site.
The very first places, of course, are on any other websites you own or manage. It's more than 2 decades since the summer when the world began flooding onto the World Wide Web, the summer of 1994. And over that time, hundreds of millions of websites have been created. Some, perhaps, by you. In some cases, almost forgotten. Whatever websites you do have, go place links on them to your new site. In fact, you may have already done so, as we discussed this issue earlier in the course when I explained how to get your site indexed. Don't forget your social networking accounts. Link from any and all that you have. Now, in most cases these days, social network links are going to be no-follow links, but nonetheless, I think you should link. In fact, the issue around social networking and no-follow links is something we'll come back to in a later lesson. For now, I just say you should do it, and at the very least, there's a chance you'll get some traffic from the links. And contrary to what I discussed in the lesson on no-follow links, such links on social networking sites may have additional benefits. What next? Friends, family, colleagues. Put together a list of the people you know who have websites, blogs, and social networking accounts, and ask them to link to you. Announce your site to your closest 1,000 friends on Facebook or LinkedIn, and see how many you can get to link. Remember my discussion of this in the lesson on the ideal link. You know what the ideal link should look like, so tell them what you want. What anchor text to use, that you want the link high up on a page, inside content, and so on. And don't forget your employees if you have any. Ask them to announce the site and link to it. How about directories? I won't go into detail because we've looked at the concept of getting linked from directory websites a couple of times. Firstly in the section of the course dedicated to listing and directories, and also when I explained local marketing to you. But these are often easy links to get, and something you can do while multitasking in front of the TV in the evening. A low-stress link building technique. Now we're going to have to think a little harder, to reach a little higher to get to the fruit. Think about all the companies you do business with. Will any of them link to you? If you're selling products online, will the manufacturers or distributors link to you? They often do, and those are often really good links, and I've seen sites do incredibly well with such links, not just from SEO, but also getting traffic to their sites through those links. You sometimes see companies that have featured clients. These can be a great link opportunity. How about companies you sell to or provide services to, or who provide services to you? Would a phone call result in a link? Often companies like to list their clients, so see if some of your suppliers or service providers have such a list, and if so, get on it. Another possibility are the association websites. Are you a member of some kind of business association that has a directory linking to member sites? If so, get listed as soon as you can. Before we move on, let me just discuss one form of low-hanging fruit that is no longer viable, reciprocal linking. I still get business people asking about this kind of linking, but it's really not valuable anymore. Reciprocal linking is when A links to site B and site B links back to site A. Essentially, a site contacts the other and says, hey, links are good to help us get ranked in the search engines, so why don't you link to me and I'll link to you? In fact, a whole industry grew up around this, around reciprocal linking. Various services and software programs are business related to the creation and management of reciprocal links, and sites often had hundreds, if not thousands, of such links. Sites had link exchanges, lists of the companies linking to them with links back. This site, Candles by Victoria, used to rank number 1 in the United States for the term candles through this form of link campaign. But from a search engine standpoint, reciprocal linking just doesn't make any sense. Why would they reward a reference website because someone else links to the site only because the reference site links back? So reciprocal linking just doesn't work anymore, and I wouldn't recommend it. The only reason I'm mentioning it is to say don't bother.
So you might want to take a few minutes now and think about the low-hanging fruit. Where are you going to find the first links? Who do you know who will be willing to help? I wouldn't rush through this phase because, quite frankly, link building gets harder from here on out. We have looked at a few obvious places to get links to your website. I think a good next step is to see who is linking to your competitors, the sites that are already ranking well in the search engines for the keywords that you want to rank for. Obviously, those sites must be doing something right, and you can often discover good places to get links from by finding out who's linking to those sites. If these sites link to them, why not to you? So in this lesson, we're going to look at the idea of doing a link analysis.
There are a variety of online systems that will find links for you. You tell the system which site you want to analyze, whether your site or a competitor's, and the system returns information about the links pointing to the site, often quite detailed information showing how many sites are linking to the target site, how many different domains, what keywords are in the links, a PageRank equivalent for the links, the actual source pages, the pages containing the links, and so on. As I said, there are a variety of these systems. You have a number of choices. Generally, there's a fee to be paid, but you can also get some interesting information for free, though perhaps more of a teaser than really useful data. I'm not going to show you all of these systems. As an example, I'm going to show you what you can do with Majestic, but you might find you prefer one of the other systems. In fact, although Majestic often provides the most data, it's by no means the easiest system to use, so you might want to check out some of the other systems too. This is a short list of popular systems. There are others.
There are a couple of reasons I want to look at Majestic. Firstly, it's the system I use and have been using for quite some time. But as I mentioned, it often provides the most data. In fact, it almost certainly has one of the largest databases of pages, if not the largest.
Before we look at Majestic, though, let's just take a very quick look at the Google link : syntax. Google will provide you with a list of pages that link to a particular site if you type link : followed by the domain name, with no space between the colon and domain name. In this case, Google is telling us that there are 3,610 pages linking to the New York Times website. I can assure you that's complete nonsense. There are many, many more, as we'll see in a moment. So I'm showing you this just to explain that it's simply not very useful in most cases. It does not give you an accurate report of links. And of course, it's not in a very convenient format. The link analysis tool's results are far more complete and convenient. In fact, here's what Majestic provides us for the New York Times. And here's Moz. Here's SEMrush and Ahrefs. So to summarize, these are what the different systems found. I'm surprised that Moz is so low. It's a great tool and it usually returns more than Google in my experience. Here's what we get when we look at the example site I'm going to work with in the next lesson. The number of links pointing to rabbitbreeders.us. In this case, Moz is now obviously much higher than Google. Of course, Moz doesn't have anywhere near as large a database as Majestic, SEMrush and Ahrefs, as you can see. I know it's not all about size though, and I know that Moz is a great tool with some useful features, but the database is definitely not as big. Where do these systems get their data? They run their own search bots, gathering data just like Google does. Ahrefs, for instance, claims to be gathering a third of the data that Google gathers every day, 6 billion pages daily. As for Majestic, it's owned by Majestic 12, not the Majestic 12 of the UFO conspiracies, but a company that originally planned to create a sort of open-source competitor to Google. It has several thousand volunteers that donate their computing time and manages to download several billion URLs every day. Majestic claims to have crawled over 800 billion pages and to have found links to more than 3 trillion pages. These link analysis tools are not cheap, by the way, though you may find you can get a free trial in some cases, and the pricing often includes other tools beyond just link analysis. Majestic has a free account that lets you fully analyze links pointing to your own site and limited access to information for other sites.
You might want to spend a few minutes looking at a few of these tools, or perhaps just move to the next lesson in which I'll show you an example of link analysis using Majestic. Majestic provides a free account you can use to analyze links to your own site once you've verified ownership. So you might visit Majestic and click the Sign Up Free button. In this lesson, I want to show you an example of a basic link analysis, a way to find places that link to your competitors so you can discover more websites that may link to your site. As I explained in the last lesson, there are a number of tools, but because Majestic is the one I use most commonly, because it has a very large database and because you can sign up for free to analyze links to your own site, it's a good place to experiment.
This is by no means going to be an exhaustive look at all of Majestic's features, and in any case you may end up using a different system, but you're going to learn the sort of things you can do with a good link analysis tool. So let's see what Majestic can do for us. Now, let's say I have a site related to rabbit breeders, and I discover that the site at the top of the search results for the phrase rabbit breeders is a site called rabbitbreeders.us. This site comes up number 1 on both Google and Bing, so they must be doing something right. So I go to Majestic, log in, and I'm going to search for that domain name. But first, notice these options, the fresh and historic indexes. One problem with Majestic can be that you get slammed with just so much information it's overwhelming. One way to deal with that is to use the fresh index rather than the historic index. The historic index will also contain many pages that no longer exist, so we'll work with the fresh index. So now I search and Majestic returns some basic information. We can see that this domain has 12,160 links pointing to it in Majestic's fresh index. So most of these should be from pages that still exist or did at some point over the last 90 days anyway. Those links come from 618 different domains, different websites, and those sites are hosted on 468 different IP numbers and only 414 different C blocks, which we discussed in an earlier lesson. So that's an average of 20 links from each website, so we'll probably see that there are several sites with very large numbers of links. This is sometimes an indication that links have been purchased, but not always. It could be that some friendly bloggers have put a link into their blog rolls, the list of links on the side of the pages. Blog roll links end up on every page in the site, so a single friendly blogger can end up providing dozens, maybe hundreds of links. On the other hand, what one often finds is a blog owned by the owner of the site for which we're analyzing incoming links. Majestic also gives us the citation flow and trust flow numbers, the equivalents to Google's PageRank and TrustRank, which you learned about in an earlier lesson. In the middle, we can see the topical trust flow, trust rankings broken down into particular categories. Notice, by the way, that these are not great numbers, just 19 and 18 out of 100 respectively. But they're good enough to get the job done, enough to get this site ranked number 1 for a really good keyword. That's simply because the keyword rabbit breeders just isn't very competitive. A more competitive term would require better numbers. As I scroll down, I see the chart that plots trust flow against citation flow. And again, this isn't a great plot. There's not much on the plot, and what there is crammed down near the bottom and to the left. This is an example of a much better plot, something closer to the ideal. But that's okay, the site is still doing well. This is an example showing that you don't always need perfect links to compete. Majestic also provides some historical information showing me how many backlinks and domains were reviewed over time. Then we can see these pie charts breaking down the found links into types on the left, follow and no follow links, image and text links, and so on. Then on the right we can see a chart showing common anchor texts. If you point at a segment in the chart, a little pop-up will show you information. This chart actually shows that the link text is a broad mix of things. The most common 10 anchor texts only account for 15% of all the links. Below this we see the backlinks table, where we find information about important links. You can see that this first row is a high trust rank, high citation flow page. It's actually a page in Wikipedia, which is great, but of course, as we can see in the link type column, Wikipedia links are no follow links. So from here we can click on the report link at the top of the page and order a full report. I choose from various options. I ask Majestic to create a report, and away it goes to do its work. And here's what the report looks like. There's some general summary information at the top. But if we scroll down, we find these two tables. The one on the left shows the most frequently used anchor texts. We can see that the first line shows 349 links on 64 different websites that use the anchor text rabbitbreeders.us, not surprisingly. This shows the advantage of having keywords in domain names, as I discussed in an earlier lesson. Number 6 on the list is Rabbit Breeders, with more than 2,400 links, but from only 14 different domains. You'll notice that this table is sorted by domains, not by number of links, as the number of linking domains is more important than the overall number of links, as I explained in an earlier lesson. The table on the right-hand side shows the domains with the most links pointing to rabbitbreeders.us, and this shows the weakness in this site's link profile. More than half of all the links are coming from just one site. As I thought when I started, it looked like there might be a lot of links coming from blogs, and this first entry is raisingrabbitsblog.com. I wonder if this blog is owned by the same people as rabbitbreeders.us. Even the second site has a huge number of links, 1,471 links coming from farmsreach.com. If we scroll down further on the page, we see a table showing pages on the site itself on rabbitbreeders.us and how many links go to each page. You don't want all your links pointing to the home page. It's good to spread them around within the site. Okay, back up to the top. I want to see the detailed link report, so I'm going to download the report. I click the download link and request a report. I can then download that report to my computer. The download is a text file in the CSV, comma separated value format that can be opened in a spreadsheet or database. If you don't have one running on your computer, you can open it in Google Docs. It's gzipped up in a compressed file, so you'll need a way to open the zip. You quite likely already have software on your computer that will open it automatically. If not, search for OpenGzip to find a utility. Although it's a text file, you really do need to open it in a spreadsheet or database, as it's not very useful in a text editor. Here I've opened the file in Excel. Excel can open CSV files directly. They don't have to be imported. If you don't have Excel, open it up in Google Docs. So here's the data we see in this file. Each row represents a single link. In the first column, we have the target URL, the page on rabbitbreeders.us that the link is pointing to. Then we have the source URL, the page that the link is placed on. Next, the anchor text, the text in the link. We have a couple of columns showing the crawl date, the last time Majestic grabbed the page, and the first crawl date, the first time it did. Then we have 7 columns telling us what kind of link it is, whether it's a nofollow link, this first row is, if it's an image link, if the link from the source page redirected through another address before getting to the target page. We can see if the link was placed within frame or iframe tags on the source page, if the page was found previously in an old crawl but not in the most recent crawl. The alt flag means that the anchor text actually came from an alt or title attribute, and the mentions flag indicates that actually the row does not represent a link. Rather, the target web page was mentioned in plain text in the source page, not within an HTML anchor tag. So now we have a list of links pointing to our competitor. I like to start by sorting by the source URL so we can see links from particular sites grouped together. Then we can go down and see who's linking. Let's look at this one, a link on aarabbits.com. I can copy the link and paste it into my browser, or in Excel I can press F2 to select the cell, then press Enter, and Excel will turn it into an active link, which I can then click on to open the page. Then, landing on the page, I'll quickly search for the domain name, or actually the anchor text that is shown in the spreadsheet. In this case, I'm just going to search for .us because the domain is a .us name, which is not terribly common. Now, if I search and don't find the domain, I'll go into the source code and search again. In this case, though, I found the link right here. So, aarabbits is a rabbit directory, and if I hadn't already found this directory in my research, well, I've got another lead on a good link. By the way, it's very common to find that some of the links in the link analysis files are actually from sites owned by the competitor. In this case, I don't know. The competitor is certainly getting special treatment by the directory. If I wanted to spend the time, I could do a domain name whois and various other things to see if the sites are associated in some way. How about this one, a link on imagineacres.com. I open this page and search again, and again find a link in the comments. So it's not a very valuable link. It's going to be a no-follow link, as I explained in an earlier lesson, and wasn't placed by the site owner. Still, the site itself does discuss rabbits, so perhaps the owner is a target during a PR campaign of some kind. See the lesson on that subject later in this course. Notice, by the way, in the spreadsheet that these links all seem to be on the same page. When I checked, I found that all the pages contained the same content, so I think it's some kind of bug on the site. These are all one page duplicated many times. Remember raisingrabbitsblog.com? There are more than 6,000 links from that site. Let's take a look at one. Now this time, when I search the page for .us, I don't find the text. I probably should have searched for the anchor text. Anyway, I'm going to press Ctrl-U to see the source, and then search again. And this time I do find it in this link. So I copy the anchor text and go back to the web page and search again, and this time we find the link. And here it is. As I suspected, this link is owned by the competitor, the same people who own rabbitbreeders.us, so it's not surprising the site links to the target site so often. Let's look at another. Let's look at a link on hitlabel.com, which you also found in the spreadsheet. Believe it or not, this is where I found the link to rabbitbreeders.us. This has all the hallmarks of a garbage link that somebody paid to have placed. It's in completely irrelevant text, and the anchor text bears no relation to the content it's placed in. Bizarrely, the anchor text doesn't even contain any useful or even related keywords. This is an example of a completely trash link placement. In fact, it's quite likely that the owners of the site have no idea it's there. Quite conceivably, an SEO firm they hired placed it there. Here's another garbage link I found. It definitely has all the hallmarks of a paid link. I also found a link here on a low-quality directory site, a subject I talked about earlier. Here's another example of garbage links on a fake blog page. Notice the domain name austinlocksmithx.com. In fact, if I query Google for all the pages on this site, I discover pages related to web hosting, rabbits, and plastic surgery. This definitely appears to be a site created for the purpose of selling links. But I also found some useful pages. I found a link on this page, which appears to be a genuine site, a hobbyist site. There may be some way for me to get a link on this site, perhaps. Or maybe here. This is another hobbyist site, and it appears to be genuine. Perhaps a friendly email would get my site included in her list of rabbit-related sites. And yet another hobbyist site with a list of links to rabbit resources on the web. Perhaps this hobbyist might give me a link if I ask nicely.
Link analyses can be very interesting. You can often find link tricks that have been used, such as purchase links. I must say this often happens, by the way, without the knowledge of the site owner when an SEO firm has been hired. You can find sites that appear to be related in some way, either owned by the link to site or perhaps owned by a friend. But you can also find sites from which you can quite likely get links yourself.
Sites such as real directory sites, of course, and blogs that are related to the area or industry you work in, hobbyist sites as we've seen. You might also run into writers and journalists who write about the subject area your site is related to, and perhaps associations that could be worth working with. Remember, if your competitor is ranking well, there's a reason, and a big part of that reason is the links they have.
In this lesson, I want to discuss social networking links. Marketing through social networking is a big subject way beyond the scope of this course, but I still want to talk about the issue of links in social networking posts and what value they might hold.
The problem is this. Most social networks these days use no-follow links. Every time a member creates a link pointing to a site outside the network automatically adds a rel equals attribute along with the no-follow value. Twitter no-follows links, Facebook does, LinkedIn does, most systems do.
Now, you probably recall from the lesson on no-follow links that I said that no-follow links don't provide any value because the search engines, even if they do follow the links, don't use them for ranking purposes. Actually, you may have noticed in that lesson that I said that you can generally assume that no-follow links have no value as far as ranking goes.
Generally, the classic get-out-of-jail-quick caveat. And the reason I use the term is because I'm not sure that this is a hard and fast rule, and I'm not alone. There's a bit of a debate in the SEO business about what value some no-follow links may carry. Here's the theory. There's an awful lot of good information sitting in links in social networking sites. The search engines certainly want to discourage link spam, but would they really want to ignore all the fantastic information that could be derived from those links? Let's go back and consider the purpose of nofollow links, to stop spammers posting garbage comments in people's blogs. In fact, these days, most blog software creates nofollow links placed in comments, but they don't nofollow links in blog posts themselves, because the posts are posted by the bloggers, the owners of the blogs, and the search engines want site owners to create links so that the search engines can use the links to figure out the subject and value of the reference sites. So, all of a sudden, the social networks start no-following everything, not just in things posted to a profile by friends, but even things posted in a profile by the profile owners themselves. This was not the original intention. All of a sudden, a vast amount of information. Google says it has 4 billion pages indexed from Facebook alone, over 1 billion from Twitter. All of a sudden, all the information stored in the links has to be ignored. Or does it? Couldn't the search engine still use the information but tell people they don't because the links are no-follow? Wouldn't that be the best of both worlds? Discouraging people from posting garbage links, and yet at the same time making the information available to the search engine's ranking algorithms. And believe me, the search engines absolutely do use psychological warfare. They do claim things that are not true, exaggerating their capabilities, for instance, in order to discourage certain behaviors. I've seen it many times, as have many of my SEO colleagues. Here's a twist on the theory. Perhaps social network links are not used for, say, calculating page rank, but they are used for other purposes, such as, to use Bing's phrase, the social authority of a website. The search engines absolutely do use the social networks in various ways to help with rankings. Whether they specifically use no-follow links in any way is, I believe, not a closed question.
The various ways in which social networks are used for ranking is a long, complicated issue. I may post a lesson on that subject sometime. But for the moment, I'm still not convinced that the search engines never use no-follow links. In any case, social networking links can still help in a couple of other ways.
First, linking to your site is a way to get the word out about your site. In a successful social networking campaign, people will follow those links to your site. Some of them will write about your site elsewhere, in their websites or blogs, for instance, and those won't be no-follow links. And of course, it's not all about SEO. At the end of the day, nobody wants higher search ranks, they want visitors. Higher search ranks are merely one way to get visitors. That's what it's about, getting people to your site, and follow or no follow, links can do that.
No discussion of links would be complete without covering things you shouldn't do and things that simply don't work well anymore. So in this lesson, I'm going to go over a few things that could get you in trouble, or more likely, will just waste your time and money.
When I covered the idea of low-hanging fruit in an earlier lesson, I talked about reciprocal linking, a you scratch my back and I'll scratch yours kind of thing. Very popular and effective in years past, but it just doesn't work well anymore, and is actually on Google's list of link schemes. Will this get you in trouble, some kind of penalty? Probably not. Google allowed these things to go on for years, and they're well aware that many webmasters and site owners don't know they're a problem. What is more likely to happen if you use reciprocal linking, though, is that it simply doesn't work. The links will be given little, if any, value by the search engines. This page, by the way, which you can find here, is Google's list of linking tricks that it hates, things that it can often identify too. Another thing that the search engines don't like is the buying and selling of links for the purpose of manipulating search results. Even major newspapers used to sell text link placements to people trying to boost their ranks in the search engines. In fact, this is something I'm going to look at in more detail in a later lesson. Then there's article marketing or article syndication, the idea of writing an article, putting links in it, and posting it to the various article libraries. This too was very popular and effective, but the search engines don't like it much as they feel it's pretty spammy and often quite low-quality content. In fact, Google gives an example of the sort of thing they don't like, as you can see here. So article syndication is not bad per se, it's the garbage articles that are heavily keyworded that they object to. Low-quality content stuffed with keywords. So content distribution can be a very effective method for building links if done right, but low-quality article syndication isn't doing it right. Another thing that's got a lot of SEO press in recent years is press releases. Again, an example of a technique that used to work extremely well, but now not so well, although there may be some lift perhaps. The idea is that you send out press releases containing links. I'll admit, in years past, I used to distribute releases very widely through a couple of dozen free and low-cost press release sites, and I saw some great results. Google doesn't like this because at the end of the day they're a trick. It's the site owner distributing the press release, so anyone can do that. In fact, these days many press release services, perhaps most, automatically add no-follow tags to links within the releases. I'm not convinced there's no value in press releases, though. In fact, at least one study showed that even after Google was saying there's no value in press release links, there clearly was, that Google was indexing the links and giving value for them. Still, I do think it's likely that press release links don't carry much value these days, and certainly nowhere near as much as they used to. How about blog guest posts? This is another subject that's been widely discussed in the SEO field and often misrepresented, so I'm planning to post a lesson on this very subject at some point. The problem with guest posts is that a business grew up around the concept. Anyone could pay a network to distribute articles, with keyworded links, of course, to bloggers trying to make some extra money. There was even a little cottage industry in Indonesia with bloggers creating networks of blogs on which they would sell article placements. Let's just say for now that for obvious reasons the search engines don't like these kind of link games, and so many guest blog links just don't work well anymore. That doesn't mean, however, that writing guest blogs never works. Done right, it can, but the search engines object to the low-quality, widely distributed kind. You may also run into systems that create huge numbers of links to your site very quickly, perhaps thousands. Systems such as Xrumor, a piece of software that registers accounts en masse on forums and then automatically submits forum posts containing links. Quite understandably, the search engines hate these things, and I'd recommend you stay away. Another thing that doesn't work well these days is links in low-quality directories, the sorts of directories that services submit to en masse. Again, this is a subject I've covered earlier in the course in this section on registering with directories. These kind of links did work well years ago, but you can't expect them to do much for you now, and they should generally be avoided. So, what is the common characteristic of all these link schemes? As I discussed in an earlier lesson, it's all about fake links versus real links. In all these cases, links are getting placed because the site owner wants and needs links, not because independent site owners care one iota about the site being linked to. Paid links get placed because money is changing hands. Anyone can post a press release to a press release service. There are blog guest post networks that distribute posts, usually for payment. In reciprocal linking, nobody cares about the sites they're linking to. They're just linking in order to get a link back, and so on. The search engines want to see the real thing, links to your site because a site owner has a real reason beyond money to link to it. Now, Google describes these things as link schemes that can negatively impact a site's ranking in the search results. But that's to some degree part of the psychological warfare I've mentioned elsewhere in this course, in which Google in effect threatens people in the hopes that they'll be scared away from doing certain things.
But I have to ask myself, would Google really penalize someone who knows nothing about SEO, who quite innocently puts a link in a press release or in a guest post on a blog? It's doubtful. And how does Google know that you placed the links pointing to your site rather than a competitor trying to get you kicked out of the search index? Far more likely is that if a search engine finds a link in a press release or what it decides is a low-value guest blog, it simply ignores the link or devalues the link. Actual penalties are far less likely. I'm not saying they never happen, but they only happen in really egregious cases in which Google has some level of certainty that in fact the links are part of a concerted effort to manipulate search results.